Hey fellow wine lovers, Diana here, this time from the other side of the music room. I'm back with another on recent rotation, a series where I show records I've spun and loved recently with needle drops. Today I'm going to show 6 records, everything from psychedelic to jazz to singer-songwriter and electronic krautrock. 3 of the records were released in the 60s and 70s and the other 3 were released in 2018, so I think it's a nice mix between old and new. So let's just hop right in. The first record is released in 1969, Psychedelic Underground by Bokaj Retsiem, released on the German Fuzz label. Psychedelic krautrock from an artist called Rainer Degner, and he goes under the synonym Bokaj Retsiem, which is backwards for Meister Jakob, and this is a hint to the affinity and the concept of this album, kind of concept. There's a nursery rhyme in Germany called Meister Jakob or Bruder Jakob. It's in French the Frère Jacques, and I think in English it's called Brother John. I think you all know the melody of it. And he was kind of influenced by this melody, and there are several interpretations of the famous nursery rhyme on here, which is kind of funny because you have like this really famous melody with some fuzzy guitars and Hammond organ, and yeah, this is a really interesting thing. This is kind of an oddball, especially with the nursery rhyme melody picked up throughout the record. On all the tracks that have Bokaj in the name, there's an interpretation of the melody. 5 different interpretations of it, sometimes funky, sometimes more soul, sometimes more psychedelic. This is actually one of the first psychedelic records released in Germany. The artist Rainer Degner was working with Achim Reichel's The Rattles and his own band German Bond, and some of the artists are also playing on here. This is some kind of wild mix from wailing heavy fuzz guitar parts to Hammond organ and some funky soul more beat parts, and it's just a fun and eccentric listen, I think. The album is Playing in the Bag, and it's a singer-songwriter album released on October 5th, 2018. Port Almond, self-titled album released on Low Strings Records. And Port Almond is the solo debut album by the Norwegian singer-songwriter Rune Simonsen. This album was recorded fully analog, which means it's computer-free, and was recorded and mixed analog and then cut directly to 180-gram black vinyl. And here the great voice and marvelous lyrics of Rune meet with an improvisating 7-piece band, creating a really atmospheric, dense and hazy sound. And the analog recording gives it such a warmth of sound, and this suits the voice and the atmosphere perfectly. You have some parts where his voice is just accompanied by softly strummed guitar, and then you have some more even psychedelic solo guitar parts, or just some floating great skillful instrumentation, which adds up to a really extremely good album.
Don't you ever read between the lines?
Album is Jackie McLean, Action, released on Blue Note in '64, and this is the '71 Blue Note release with the black and blue label. And Jackie McLean, who's playing alto sax on here, is joined by Charles Tolliver on trumpet, Bobby Hutcherson on vibes, Cecil McGee on bass, and Billy Higgins on drums. And the cover kind of gives away the approach which was taken on this album, with the negative image, which is kind of like a new and bold approach. This also goes for the sound on here. Jackie is going a little bit away from the bop sound he was producing before and taking a little bit more freer approach, which just results in an album that is bubbling with energy. And I especially love the vibraphone of Bobby Hutcherson here, and this album is just highly recommended. And the next album was released in May 2018, Almond and Nuttkase, Spirit Rejoin, released on Black Star Records and Bongo Joe. I have professed my love for previous Almond and Nuttkase albums on this channel before. This is their latest release. Almond and Nuttkase is a band hailing from Milano, Italy, and they are consisting of Lawrence playing guitar and percussions, Ivan playing Fender Rhodes and flutes, Jimmy Cataloni on alto sax, Matteo Zeroni on drums, percussions and clarinet, David Domenicini on bass and sitar, and Stefano Tamagini on drums and percussion, and Johnny on acoustic guitar on Spirit Rejoin. And on this album, the distinctive rhythm the band is known for shows up, but this time they are venturing out a bit more into jazz. So this album incorporates a mix of electric and spiritual jazz influences with some Afro jazz and even some space rock, which makes this funky, spiritual and psychedelic at the same time, which is just an interesting and eclectic mix. And what I love on here is, like, they are stating in the back, in July 2015 we played in the forest near Barcelos in Portugal. If you listen carefully, you can hear the wind chanting rivers, which I think is really adorable. next one is some electronic krautrock. Kraftwerk with Aktivität, released in the US with Radioactivity. This was released in 1975 over Klinklang. This is the first press with the stickers patched on it and somebody writing his name on it. And if you have watched my Krautrock collection videos I have done like 2 years ago, you might have noticed the lack of Kraftwerk on them, which was because at that time I haven't had a single Kraftwerk album. So even though I always acknowledge their significance for the genre and for music history in general, at that point their music never really appealed to me. This has changed a bit, but I still don't like their electropop stuff, like That's a Model. That's just not my cup of tea, but I always appreciate their more experimental and electronic adventures. And so I was really happy to find Radioaktivität on a flea market for a bargain recently. And this is a really exciting and timeless electronic adventure. They take us on with lyrics just used sparsely, very poetic and perfectly fitting into the vibe of this record. And so yeah, I'm really happy to have this, and I think it's a perfect addition to any Krautrock collection, of course. And the last record for today is Nuttkase Boom Bap Injection, released also on October 5th, 2018 on Postpartum Records. This is an instrumental hip-hop album by the Russian producer Nuttkase, his first release on the Postpartum label. And this features, as the title just reveals, beautiful boom bap beats. This was released on 108-gram marble vinyl. And what I love about this record is that it has kind of a jazzy vibe with saxophone play on it and everything. And it's really laid back, and what I also think is really cool is that he is using some samples known from, for example, A Tribe Called Quest or the Far Side songs, and is chopping them differently, so giving a kind of new perspective on those well-known samples, which I think is really cool. And yeah, I will include some needle drops so you can hear it for yourself, and I will do a mid-label series on the Postpartum label soon, and I will also give away this record, so if you're interested, stay tuned. That's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for all the comments and responses I got on my recent videos, which is really cool and I always appreciate it. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if there was something of interest for you in here, and have a great Sunday. See you soon. Bye!